Chapter 9. Location: Estrada, New Mexico. Nimbus's first assignment was to find a young artist named Esmeralda, console her, and bring her some peace of mind regarding the dilemma she was experiencing about her artwork. This was very confusing to Nimbus. He wasn't exactly sure what he was supposed to do, but Michael had said, "You'll figure it out." Nimbus floated over New Mexico's Art Institute of Rio Estrada and spotted an old 3-story stone building with a cupola and a 100-year-old maple tree in the front courtyard. The turquoise dome on the building validated Michael's directions. He had found Esmeralda. Well, her school anyway. Esmeralda Sanchez lived outside of town with her family. A mother, a father, 2 young brothers, a grandmother, and a dog. Esmeralda was smart and very creative. However, she didn't do any real art until her grandmother saw her splashing paint on the back side of their adobe house. It was her first mural. Her grandmother convinced the rest of the family that Esmeralda had talent. Shortly after her 16th birthday, although still attending high school, Esmeralda was enrolled for the after-school classes at the Art Institute. Her grandmother used her savings to pay for the first set of classes until she was able to obtain a scholarship. She had just enough money to get her started. Nimbus drifted past the large banner hanging from the roof just above the top row of windows. It read, "The Art Institute of Rio Estrada, Excellence Award of New Mexico for Outstanding Achievement in Visual Arts." This is definitely the school. Now I just need to find Esmeralda. Nimbus floated and hovered at each window. She's got to be in one of these rooms. He was looking for a Hispanic young lady about 4'4", with long black braids twisted in a Princess Leia hairdo over her ears. Although a bit outdated, her hair would be a dead giveaway in finding her. As he peered through the window on the 3rd floor, he thought he saw her through a fanfare of color wheels hanging on strings from the ceiling. A girl that matched Michael's description was standing over in the corner of the room, brooding over a piece of artwork resting on one of the easels. "You are totally ruined," Esmeralda said, pointing a paintbrush at the painting. "The heavens are so messed up. The judges won't understand what I painted." She turned her back on the luminous group of 4 angels playing cards while sitting suspended in the heavens at the green and gold marble table. "Hello there," Nimbus said, floating in through the window. Esmeralda gasped, then froze, staring at Nimbus. It's okay. I'm just here to help you. My name's Nimbus." Esmeralda dropped the paintbrush. Nimbus moved closer through the dangling color wheels and formed back into as cute a cloud as he could muster. "Don't be afraid, Esmeralda. I'm harmless, really." "How did you know my name?" "You called on the angels, and they told me," Nimbus said proudly with a smile. "Oh, dear," she said, looking at Nimbus, then at the painting of the angels. No, not those angels. The real ones that you pray to." "You did ask for help, didn't you?" "Well, yes, but angels are very alert to those who ask for help." "So, you're an angel? You look more like a cloud." "Yes, well, actually, I'm an angel's aide, almost, who is actually a cumulus cloud. I'm in training." "A cloud training to be an angel? I've never heard of that." Slowly she eased herself into a nearby metal folding chair, not wanting to stir the air. Nimbus floated closer and tried to explain. "You see, there is a shortage of angels these days with all the trouble in the world. The demand is up with all the publicity angels have been getting lately, so more and more people are calling out for them to help." "So what does that have to do with a cute cloud like you?" Esmeralda asked with a sweet smile. Nimbus turned a light peach color. He liked her already. "Well, the angels, The archangels, to be exact, decided that they needed more help. So they set up this program to train a few of us serious clouds to see if we could assist in angel acts. Esmeralda lowered her eyes. And you were sent to help me instead of an angel? Oh, it doesn't mean that your problem isn't important enough, like for a real angel, Nimbus explained. I'm just supposed to come in and assess the situation, kind of like what a nurse would do before you see the doctor. It saves a lot of time. It doesn't matter, she said with a sigh. Not even an angel can help me now. The judging for the contest is in an hour. Nothing to enter, no chance to win the scholarship money. But what about that painting? Nimbus asked as he floated towards the bright watercolor picture on the easel. It was an exquisite use of contrasting gentle tints with bold accents, using all the colors of the rainbow. The bright yellow halos around the 4 angels' heads were almost 3-dimensional, and each angel was dressed in a different arrangement of flowers. Nimbus especially liked the vibrant array of blues used for the irises adorning one of the angels' robes. The whole painting, in one respect, looked like the royal garden in England or France. The playing cards that the angels were holding showed the actual Jack, Queen, King, and Ace sitting on the edge of their respective cards instead of lying flat on the inside. The King of Spades, sitting on the card, held by the angel in Stargazer Lilies, was winking at the Queen of Hearts, who was held by the angel in pink and red roses. The painting was delightfully pleasing to the eye, but as Nimbus studied it, he noticed something very wrong at the upper left-hand corner. "What happened here?" he asked, pointing to a large dark shoe print. "I don't know. It must have fallen off the easel and someone stepped on it." She picked up her paintbrush from the floor and set it on the easel. "I would have gotten a whole year's tuition for this painting because I know it would have won the contest. But this is beautiful, Esmeralda. It looks like a Monet in watercolor. The judges will understand." "No, they won't. They have their rules. It's over." She swiveled in her chair and looked out the window. Nimbus formed himself into his baby bed mattress, the shape he always assumed when he was analyzing something or needing comfort. He pondered. "Nothing is over if you have faith, and I already know you have plenty of that." "It'll take a lot more than faith, Nimbus. It will take a miracle." Nimbus looked at the painting. He studied it for some time, and then he pondered. Then he looked at Esmeralda. "I got it! Even angels can have a bad weather day to spoil their fun." "What do you mean?" "You see, it's like life," Nimbus continued, and spoke philosophically, spreading out further on his mattress. "Just when you're having a good time at the swimming pool or at a picnic, lo and behold, here come those cumulus clouds." "The what?" "The storm clouds, the thunderstorm that spoils the fun. Even angels have rainy days." "They do?" "Sure, don't you see?" Nimbus pointed to the dark smudge. "You can turn that mistake into an impending rainstorm, and I, Cumulonimbus III, can help you." "How?" "I can rain on it for you," Nimbus said with pride, forming into a ball. "You can do that here?" she asked in amazement. "Yes, I can." He was starting to build. "I don't know. It all sounds pretty off the wall to me. But if you think you can fix this, it can't get much worse. What do you want me to do?" "Get out your paints and create storm clouds out of that footprint," Nimbus said, pointing to the smudge. "Then I'll make those clouds rain." "How are you going to do that exactly?" she asked as she stood up and went to the sink to fill a coffee can with water. "Well, all I need to do is think of something." Then Nimbus stopped. He realized he was already growing at just the thought of being part of such a masterpiece. "Oh, wow, you are changing a lot," Esmeralda said, turning off the water and hurrying back to her easel. She set down the can and took a paper towel to wipe off the excess dirt on the smudge. She then squeezed some Payne's gray into her other dark colors on the palette. Using her palette knife, she mixed the colors, then added some titanium white to get a variety of darks and grays. "Well, here goes," she said, taking a breath. She dipped her brush into the coffee can and dabbed water on the colors to make a puddle. She worked confidently, turning an old shoe print into dark, ominous clouds. By adding blues and oranges with the grays, it gave just the right shadows that created a storm, looming off into the distance. In the meantime, Nimbus was trying not to build too fast, but he was getting concerned. In fact, he was very concerned. "Hurry," he grunted, trying to hold his size. Esmeralda stood back and looked at her work. "Now it's your turn, Nimbus. Can you do just a few raindrops? I'm thinking it's looking pretty good, don't you?"
"You only want a few raindrops?" he squeaked.
Yeah, just a few over here," she said, pointing to an area of the impending storm.
"Well, I'm not too sure I can control the volume. It's not something a cloud usually has to be concerned with."
As Nimbus looked at the impending storm on paper, a much larger storm was growing inside of him as well. "Nimbus, wow, you are really getting pretty large."
Don't worry. I'll do just a few drops on your painting and then go out the window and empty the rest."
A large raindrop let go and splashed into Esmeralda's eyes.
"Oh, sorry."
Nimbus was trying to hold himself together. "Can you make them a little smaller?" she asked, wiping her eye with her shirt sleeve.
"Smaller?" he said, grunting, holding his breath to calm himself. "I'll try."
He splashed some drops on just the right spot of her painting.
"That's perfect, Nimbus,"
Esmeralda cheered. Nimbus was losing control. The whole inside of his mask was an igniting time bomb ready to explode.
"Hurry, Esmeralda! Grab your paints and get out of here fast!"
Esmeralda snatched her artwork and ran for the door. Are you going to be all right?"
"Sure," Nimbus managed to say. "Good luck with the contest."
Thank you, Nimbus. Oh my gosh, you had the best idea ever." The door slammed behind her just as Nimbus lost control. A lightning bolt fired out of him like a bullet shot from a gun. It ricocheted off the fluorescent light fixture in the ceiling and zipped across the room, hitting the clock. The clock exploded and caught fire. Hot pieces of melting plastic from the clock were dripping into the tissue box on the table. It burst into flames. The fire spread to the stacks and stacks of papers and artwork piled high. Suddenly, the whole table was ablaze.
"Holy tornadoes!" Nimbus shrieked,
popping and flashing completely out of control. As he tried to move towards the window, he shot another uncontrollable bolt of lightning. This time, it rocketed out the window, whizzing across the lawn, and slicing through that 100-year-old maple tree.
"Oh no," he bellowed.
Smoke was filling the room, and suddenly an alarm sounded. Nimbus couldn't hold on any longer. He released and started to pour. Trying to work his way to the fire, he found that the heat from the flames were too intense. He started twisting and shaking. Water danced out of him like he was a rotating lawn sprinkler. However, his splashing was enough to put out the fire. Smoke and steam poured out of the window as Nimbus continued to empty. He heard sirens and loud voices and could see a crowd gathering and firemen running into the building.
"I better get out of here," he said.
He moved out the window just as two firemen in full protective gear kicked in the door. They froze in amazement at the sight of water everywhere. As the smoke cleared, one of the firemen pulled up his face mask on his helmet.
"I didn't know this building had a sprinkler system, did you, Joe?"
Nimbus floated up and out of sight of the onlookers. He saw the fireman hosing down the old tree with water. "That doesn't look too good," he said sadly. He felt terrible about burning up all the talented artwork that was on the table, and even worse about soaking the beautiful color wheels that hung dripping from the ceiling. This is not going to go well with Michael or the Cloud Council, he thought. As he floated towards the angel realm, he sighed. I sure hope Esmeralda wins that contest. That will sure help at my exit interview.